All right, we call the meeting to order. Somebody else is there, okay. Before we begin, as always, is there anyone who wishes to engage in public participation? Hearing none. The next agenda item is the Greenwood School roof. Anthony?
Yep, I'm here. How's it going, everyone?
Good.
So again, not much to really update on, but at this point, the project is essentially headed to the closeout portion. So all items have been addressed punch list wise, which I think it was last meeting as well. The real update is at this point, Greenwood Industries, which funny that they're the same name as the roof, but they have submitted the closeout package, a third revision for Gale Associates review, which I spoke to the architect yesterday about it, and fingers crossed that that is all set. At that point, that's kind of the last document. Construction wise, the only remaining item that will happen either late March or early April, sort of kind of weather and temperature dependent, is that infrared roof scan from the MSBA scheme association. And once that scan happens, if everything looks good, then we'll release the final amount of retainage, which we're holding $7,500, right? And then at that point, it's just getting the final propay request into the MSBA and then picking a MSBA board of directors or official closeout, which is either going to happen in June or August.
Anthony, was the infrared scan a requirement always, or was that something that came up because of something that was suspect? Or
No, it's actually the MSBA actually contracts the commission agent independently, so they pay them directly, but they contract them for projects.
so they were going to do it either way? Okay.
Always, yep, always part of the plan.
Any questions regarding the Greenwood roof? I emailed minutes, invoices, and the warranty. So did everybody get those? Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'll hear a motion for the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Second that.
All right. So then these are the minutes of January 14th.
Excuse me, yep.
2021. Is there any objection? Hearing none, unanimous. The next has to do with the Greenwood Industries requisition.
I move that we approve the requisition for $57,974.42.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah, any discussion? Hearing none. Jerry,
Yes.
Tom,
yes.
Janine,
yes,
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes,
and Tim.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Next invoice.
so I have a question before we go to the two Gale invoices.
Okay.
Anthony, I see the sum of one for $4,780.39.
Yep.
And then on the next one, I have outstanding invoice for $4,780.39 for the 2/7/34.50.
Mhm.
Is that because they just submitted both at the same time, or we hadn't voted on the 4780 first?
We hadn't voted on the 4780. They sent it like right before the last meeting we had, and I wanted to review and make sure everything matched up with my record before I kicked it over. So
Okay, so we didn't vote, I couldn't see it in the minutes that we had, so,
yeah, no, we didn't vote on it yet.
okay. So we'll approve that one first. I move that we approve the November 20th to January 2nd Gale invoice number 2012267 for the sum of $4,780.39.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Jerry,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
unanimous.
Okay, I move that we approve the Gale invoice for $2,734.50 dated for services rendered. Let's see, for invoice number 2101264.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jerry,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
unanimous.
I move that we approve PMA's huge invoice number 04372-15 for the sum of $750.
Second,
Any discussion outside of wondering why Anthony gets so little? Hearing none. Jerry,
yes.
John,
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
All right, last I asked Anthony for a little summary of the billings to date. And I emailed those to you. Anthony, can you just go over it real quick?
Yeah, so I don't know if everyone's looking at it. It's the PMA memo dated on the 17th, but essentially just a high level project billing status. So Gale Associates contracts after the amendments was about $175,440. Their billing to date is $162,097.11. So that would mean there's $13,342.89 remaining to bill, but that won't fully be billed because there's some residual money left over from the previous phases. Greenwood
So,
Industries,
so that won't be billed,
not
they
100%.
fulfill the whole contract?
Correct. Yeah, we saved some money on the cost estimate portion as well as some of the hazmat.
Okay,
And then Greenwood Industries, very similar. After that one change order with the downspouts from the gutter, from the overflow drain outside, their contract amount was $868,590.17. They've billed to date after tonight the $861.90.17. So there's $7,500 remaining, and that will not be released until the infrared scan happens. So then once that scan happens, they'll submit their final rec, and then that'll be it for Greenwood. And then PMA's contract wise, it's $134,000 roughly. We've billed $85,000 to date, which would mean there's about $48,500 left. And obviously we will not be billing close to that amount. It'll really just be similar types of invoices in the $750 to $2,000 range, depending on how much involvement I have in MSBA and the closeout process, but well under budget. And then testing and inspections, again, $15,000 was the contract amount or the approved budget from the MSBA. We essentially billed just over half of that. We're not going to bill the remaining half. And then advertising, we set aside $2,500 and we only billed $1,200. So everything's well on target or under budget.
so Anthony, can you just give us a high level? Change orders are all settled? There's nothing left on the table other than that infrared? No discussion, no nothing? Just
that infrared. So when that scan happens, if there's an issue or the infrared picks up something, Greenwood will have to come back, do some exploratory work, address the issue and move on. Hopefully there is no issue, but that's why we're holding that return date essentially. But that's the only item.
It might be a long time before they do that scan.
So I touched base with BEA, who's the Building Enclosure Associates. They're the commission agent through the MSBA. We're targeting late March, early April, but it really is when you have consistent weather above freezing and no snow on the roof.
Yeah, so that will be sometime in April.
Yeah, probably most likely sometime in April, which Greenwood's aware of it, everyone's aware of it. No shock.
So Anthony, at the end of the day, based on all that you just went through, are we looking at, somewhere around $40,000 to $50,000 under budget in total? Is that kind of the high level estimate?
Yeah, just about.
Probably
Yeah.
closer to
Under,
60.
under budget from even our bid savings. Remember when
Right.
back in town meeting, we
Right.
approved, I think, 1.675 million. And after bids, we came in around 1.2. So
Yep.
we already gotten the $400,000 savings there.
Mhm.
We'll probably be 40 to 50 grand under that.
Well, we better publicize that.
Not too much. We came in 4 months late.
No, not 4 months, so much.
3?
2.
All right. None of our faults. That's all on Greenwood.
For the
Exactly.
record, we may have to report that to town meeting so we can publicize it then, Wayne.
Good,
A little more time, but a lot less money.
nice.
So yeah, everything's looking good and I'll be in touch. Like I said, really at this point, it's more of a PMA coordinating with MSBA on closeout procedures. So I have to get in the pro pay request, get the town some money and then go from there.
Perfect.
All right, anything else on the Greenwood for Anthony? Anthony, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Talk to you
Thank
guys soon.
See you.
Thank you,
Here,
Anthony.
Nice work.
Bye.
The next agenda item is the DPW contract, and the only issue there that I have to report is that the contract, you may remember, it was approved subject to approval by town council, and Mr. Mullen gave his okay, and I signed the contract, and outside of that, I saw Mr. Conway on earlier. Is he still on? There he is. Hey, Joe.
Hi, how's it
Outside of that,
going?
is there anything else going on?
Nope, so I've touched base. We didn't want to put the cart before the horse, so we waited until the blessing was given from town council, but I've touched base with Weston and Sampson. We're supposed to get together next week, myself and Jamie, to kind of put together a little bit of a layout and start to get the ball rolling. So I should be starting to get some dates in. I will send them to you, Mr. Chair, so you can forward along to the group, and we are looking forward to get rolling.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Joe on the DPW?
Yeah, Joe, our plate is getting pretty full. So the interesting thing from my standpoint would be dates that you want to present your kind of findings and updates to us.
Okay,
So if you can get Jamie to kind of outline what he wants to accomplish in this month or that month and when he wants to, and when you guys want to report on it, then
Okay.
we can plug it in to be with one of the many meetings that we're going to end up having.
gotcha. Just so you know, from my standpoint, I've asked him for, I know he needs a whole bunch of data from my group, so that'll keep them busy. The other thing I asked him for is his tentative schedule and what he thinks his timeline will be. So I'll tell him to make sure that, that is as sharp as it can be, so I can relay it to the committee here. And that way we could fit right in, as appropriate, not overburden one of the meetings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, anybody else have any questions for DPW? Okay, thank you very much, Joe.
Thank you, sir.
Start plowing. Oh, sorry.
Soon enough.
Good. My driveway's first, so don't worry about that. Don't forget
I'll be
about that.
there in 2 minutes. I just gotta log off.
All right, thank you very much. All right. We won't publicize that. No.
Joe, you'll find they'll take the whole street and put it at the end
They
tonight.
put it right in front of it. I know. You'll come over with your truck and do it if they miss. Realize that. Next agenda item has to do with the high school. I sent the final after several drafts with Mr. Mayo, myself, and others, and was sent to the MSBA. They had some issues with some of the things, so we had to change that. I sent the final request for the RFS, the request for services for the OPM for the high school project. That has gone out today, it's my understanding, to get to the central registry by the 25th. next week. And after that, I don't, if you've had a chance to review all these things, for us, the important things are the evaluation criteria that is in the request for services and the dates for the various activities for the various OPMs. Essentially, as I indicated, it's February 24th, not the 25th. It appears in the Central Register. The March 10th, there's an informational meeting and site inspection at 3 p.m. at the high school. On March 12th is the last day for questions from respondents. Then there is the responses are due on March 17th and March 22nd. It has here respondents short listed. So that means we're going to have to meet near March 22nd, and I forgot to run my calendar. For a meeting to go to short list to get and to review the various responses that are brought in on the 17th. And
So Joe, what's tough on that is the 17th is a Thursday, the
Right.
17th is a Wednesday.
Yep.
22nd is a Monday.
Right, so we're gonna have to meet on that Monday, the 22nd.
22nd.
Which means everybody's gonna have to get me their responses by the 21st.
Right. And
So I
I'll,
can collate on the 22nd.
right, and I'll come up with a scoring sheet based upon that evaluations. So that, and then we'll get everybody a hard copy or an electronic copy of the responses. We will then have to meet on the 22nd. And then it has us meeting on that Wednesday, right? To interview the shortlisted respondents. So we're gonna have to meet on March 22nd and March 24th.
Joe, I'm gonna have a conflict on the 24th.
Oh, you got,
That's a ZBA night as well.
I don't see why we can't do it one day later to do the interviews,
I think we can do the interviews that Thursday, the 25th.
the 25th. Okay, let's.
Plus, I think if we let people know on the 22nd to tell them that they're interviewing on that, that's really tight.
I know, I agree, but that's what this is what the MSBA,
I know, but I think we can go the 25th. We can just say we didn't have a quorum or something.
all right, we'll do the 25th. Is that good with people?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's still even short notice for the 25th, but
I agree.
for the respondents that have to do the interview, because it takes a little bit to prepare for that, but
Can they just be notified in an invitation and somehow that anyone invited will be expected back on the 25th? So just be prepared? Or can you do something can you say stuff like
Yeah,
that?
I mean, they can know what when we
Like pencil it in. Yeah.
pencil it in, yeah. If you think you're gonna be one of the top 3 or 4.
It does. It's a lot of busy work for them. I know, to prepare and not know if you're going to go, but at the same time, just prepare them and let them hold it, and so be it. Blame it on the state.
Good idea. All right, so then by April 1st, when there's a negotiation with the respondents, and then by April 7th, we have to submit the final selection, and that's all done through the Permanent Building Committee, and a non-voting participants are Mr. Mayo and the superintendent. Okay, so I'll talk to Steve and see if we can play with that, because we really don't have to submit our final selection to the MSBA until the April 7th. And that's probably the most important date.
So we might be able to go to that Tuesday, the 30th
Yeah,
for
that's,
interviews, which would give people a week.
I think that makes more sense, to be honest.
Mhm.
I'll talk to
I
Steve.
think, and then, yeah, once we have interviews, then maybe we can go on that Thursday, the 1st, or Tuesday,
Yeah, I'd rather do it the 1st, and then we can do any negotiation between the 1st and the 7th.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, let's try, I'll talk to Steve. I'm sure that won't be a
Because
problem.
we can have, like we have in the past, have our meeting and then figure out exactly who we're that night.
Okay. I'll just make sure that that doesn't, cause us problems.
Correct.
If it does, I'll let everybody know. All right, anybody else have any questions regarding the RFS for the high school?
My only question is, there's a footer on it that says revised 2017. Is that correct? Or it's not?
MSBA revision.
Template.
Oh, that's their template
That's
that
their
we're
template.
answering on. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
We didn't
Right.
revise this 3 years ago, honest.
Well,
It took us long enough.
it took a few tries. Yeah, that's another. Okay.
A whole
thanks.
nother issue. Anybody else?
I was just wondering, Joe, on that March 10th date, is that something that members of the committee can go to if we would like to?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
You never been to the high school?
No, I have been to the high school, but just to see, this would be interesting.
I've been lost there. That's a whole other story. All right.
You get lost walking your dog though, Joe, so let's go, Joe.
Just as long as it does it on your property, it doesn't matter to me. Anybody else? All right. We'll go to the next agenda item, and then in the process, we will say goodbye to Jerry.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Good night, Jerry.
Take care, buddy.
Good evening, guys.
All right, Shane, make
How you
sure
doing?
that's noted in the minutes, please.
Yeah,
That Jerry is, and as a matter of fact, Jerry begins with a J, not a G on your minutes, but don't worry about it, we can make sure that's okay from now on, okay?
Yeah, I'll make that change.
All right. All right, oh boy, now I gotta do this. That's not my dog.
No, that's my dog, right on cue.
Okay. All right, Shane, you need to make a co-host.
If you can let me share, yeah.
I just did it, hopefully.
Yep.
Okay,
So everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, tonight we just have just got really two agenda items for tonight. We have the administrative actions is just the meeting minutes from the meeting on February 4th. And then the other business that we have tonight is the CMR pre-qualification reviews. And the goal tonight is to review the submissions we got that we distributed to the committee and shortlist the construction managers to move on to the second phase, the proposal phase of that. So I did distribute the meeting minutes yesterday. I hope everybody had a chance to review those.
With Joe's correction of Jerry's name noted, I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Second that.
thank you, John. Any opposition? Hearing none. The minutes are approved.
You. So then just the other thing tonight is the pre-qualification of the construction managers. Thank you, everybody, for getting your evaluations back on time. I did put all those together. I sent out the blank one last night, but I'll just pull up the actual populated one now. Can folks see that?
It's the
Yeah.
blank one that
I
you're
got a
showing.
blank one.
Okay, let me do this.
Oops. Oh, There we go.
Uh,
Oh, there it went again.
just, here we go. Yeah, you see that one?
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, so again, thank you everybody for getting the evaluations back. You can see on the left-hand side here, this is the sheet I'd sent out and that everybody populated. We'd asked people to evaluate it based on a rating of highly advantageous, advantageous, not advantageous, or unacceptable. So I took everybody's ratings, I've populated that. And you can see on the right-hand side here, I've put a numerical value to each of those evaluations. So I've done that for all 8 contractors that submitted. So I'll go through each of those. I think, you know, we don't need to go through each one individually. We'll be here all night. So I'll go through it pretty quickly, if that's okay, Joe. And certainly if people want to jump in and contribute, we can. But if you maybe let me lead it and have folks jump in as necessary. So we did this in no particular order, or actually we did in a particular order. We did in
Shane, can I just ask one quick question? How did you come up with the numerical value for each one?
So I gave a 3 for people who had highly advantageous, a 2 for advantageous, a 1 for not advantageous, and then a 0 for unacceptable.
Oh, okay. And I'm reading the average. Okay,
Yeah.
I got
So
it.
yeah, I think some people, there's a bit of confusion when I sent the email that some people put 1 for highly advantageous, but that was how I'd listed them and not the numerical value. So here it's a 3 for highly advantageous, 2 for advantageous, 1 for not, and 0 for unacceptable. So with Bond, who are our first one, just going through it, the management and team organization, everybody gave Bond a 3, so I gave them a highly advantageous on that. Similar project experience, Bond had a lot of similar projects, certainly in the 149. They do mostly public construction over the 149. They don't do a lot under the 149, the design bid build. So they averaged at a 2.75, mostly 3s and 2s. So I gave them a highly advantageous composite rating. Volume of work, again, mostly 2s and 3s from the whole committee. They averaged at a 2.5, so I gave them a highly advantageous for that. The terminations, incomplete projects, liquidated damages, and legal proceedings. I think this is where some of the bigger companies are sort of at a disadvantage. When you do a lot more work, you tend to have a lot more legal proceedings. That showed up, and there was a range of 2s and 3s and a couple of 1s for Bond there. So they ended up at 2.7 or an average, or an advantageous for that. Their safety record, I think Bond was one of the best out of the 8. They had a 0.68 average for their safety rating. Just to put that in context, a 1 is sort of the benchmark that the insurance companies use. So anything under a 1 is considered good. Anything over a 1 is considered less than good. So at 0.68, they have a very good one, and we gave them a highly advantageous on that. And then financial status. There was a question about the financial status. Really, maybe a better term there is financial capacity. So I think what we asked people to look at there was, did the company submit a bonding letter to evidence that they can provide bonding for this project? All the companies did that. And also within their DCAM ratings and their DCAM certification, each firm has a single project limit, which is the maximum value for a single project that companies can do. And they also have an aggregate limit, which is the total of all the projects at any one time, which they can do. So we looked at that to see if their financial capacity was in those, and that's how we asked people to review that. So Bond had a bunch of 3s and 2s. It was 1-1, but they averaged a 2.6, so highly advantageous there. So that their total average was 16, or out of the total of 18 they could have gotten was an 89. So I certainly suggest that an overall rating that we give Bond would be a highly advantageous, unless there's any objections.
Nope.
Hearing none, we'll,
No, and I would say, just Shane, in suggestion to time, now that we see how you've done it, you can kind of just, in my opinion, just run through the averages and the total.
Sure, okay.
Because now you did a great explanation on the first one. We all kind of can follow your thinking.
Okay, and it'll lead on to the end. So, so again, the second one was Colantonio. You know, we gave them a highly advantageous for management, civil project experience, highly advantageous, and then advantageous for volume of work, terminations, safety, and financial status. So they were 14.67 or an 81%. Out of the total. So I would suggest again for Colantonio that we allocate a highly advantageous rating, composite rating for them. There we go. No opposition. I'll plug that in there. Commodore Builders, again, highly advantageous for their management and their organization. Similar project experience, they averaged a 2.58, so we gave them highly advantageous. Current volume of work, I gave them an advantageous, they were 2.42, so averaging that down, advantageous. Terminations was a highly advantageous. Safety record, highly advantageous, and financial status and advantageous. So they got a 15.2 out of 18 or 85%. So I would again suggest a highly advantageous composite rating for Commodore Builders. I'll plug that in. Moving down to Del Ulis, these are a product that I haven't seen before. They seem to be a smaller firm, so I have no experience with these guys, but nonetheless, we all reviewed them. Under management and team, they had a 1.7, so that rounded to a 2. I gave them an advantageous. Similar project experience, we gave them an advantageous. Current work value, again, was advantageous, an average of 2.08. Terminations was 2.33. I think they had a few legal proceedings, so that brought them down a bit. Advantageous. Their safety record was pretty good, so they averaged out at a highly advantageous. And then their final financial status again was an advantageous. So they're at a combined 12.33 or a 69%. I think anything under 70, we should not give them a composite rating of a highly advantageous. So I would suggest advantageous for Del Ulis. Hearing no objections there, I'll plug that in. The next one was GVW. These really had no experience with the 149 construction manager risk, so they didn't score well in the team or the organization or the similar project experience. So they got a not advantageous in both of those. Current volume of work was an average of 2.17, so we gave them an advantageous. Their terminations and legal proceedings are 2.5, so that rounded up to highly advantageous. Then their safety record and financial status, we gave them an advantageous. Overall, an 11.08 out of 18, which equates to a 62%. So again, I would suggest a overall rating of advantageous for GVW. Continuing on.
Sean, did you say not advantageous or advantageous? Oh, sorry. I see.
I would say advantageous there. I think anything, 60 to 80% will give them advantageous. Anything below that would be not advantageous. So we can discuss it. We can plug it in as a not advantageous if people think that would be more appropriate.
Whenever I came home with the 62 from school, my parents considered it non-advantageous.
That happened a lot, Phil?
Just traditional East Asia and physics, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll keep you off of the physics then.
Okay, so let's plug an advantageous in there. And again, this will roll down to a summary sheet that we can look at and we can reassess it at the end.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter.
I think they're certainly not where we want to go. So Hutter Construction, again, team management organization was advantageous. Similar project experience, they really didn't have a lot of CM at risk project experience, so they got a 1.5 average or not advantageous. Volume of work was an advantageous, an average of 2. Terminations, incomplete projects and legal proceedings, they seem to have a lot for a smaller company. And that's reflected in their average of 1.42, so that's not advantageous. Safety record of a 2 are advantageous, and the financial status of an advantageous. So again, at a 10.92 out of a possible 18 or 61%, perhaps we give them an overall rating of not advantageous.
Yeah, that's Phil's physics grade. Go ahead.
Seaver Construction, I thought they were one of the poorer ones, certainly with their submission, and perhaps that's reflected. They didn't have a lot of CM at risk, and certainly not a lot of CM at risk under the 149 public procurement laws, and I think that was sort of reflected in everybody's evaluation of Seaver. So going through that, I'm not sure they even understood how to complete the request for qualifications correctly, and it's shown in the area in the marks they got. So really running through that, it was not advantageous, not advantageous, advantageous. They didn't have any terminations or legal proceedings, so that gave them highly advantageous under that category, an advantageous and an advantageous. But overall, I think that was probably a not advantageous, and you'd probably be close to an unacceptable for Seaver. They were, I thought, the weakest of the 8 firms that we received proposals from or qualifications from. And then just WT Rich, the last of the 8. Again, they're one of the bigger firms. They have a lot of experience at the 149A procurement in Massachusetts. They proposed a good team. They got an average of 2.83, or highly advantageous. Similar project experience, again, highly advantageous. They did a lot of 149A projects. Their current volume of work was a 2.33, or advantageous. Terminations, incomplete and legal proceedings was a highly advantageous. Safety record, it looked like they had a couple of accidents that showed up on their multiplier this year, so that dropped them a little bit to an advantageous. And then their financial status overall was an advantageous. So I would suggest, again, a highly advantageous, and 83% for WT Rich to get them to a highly advantageous. So I'm hoping my formulas work here, folks, and if I hit this button, can everybody see that? I'm still with you?
Yep.
Yep.
So everybody can see the summary here?
Yeah.
Yep. So you can see again, these are the composite ratings we just gave everybody. These are the averages up here, so you can see Bond, we give them highly advantageous. Colantonio was highly advantageous. Commodore, highly advantageous. Delulis, not advantageous. GVW, not advantageous. Hutter, not advantageous. Seaver, not advantageous. WT Rich, a highly advantageous. So, really
Shane, I think I would take another look at Colantonio based on the averages of the sections. I mean, if you're just trying to weed things out.
Although those 4 HAs were all above 80%, right?
They were when we looked at the average score. So going to Colantonio, the average totaled 14.67 or 81%.
So I guess it would be my opinion, Mr. Chair and team, that, out of 8, we have at least 3 very solid ones, and the 4th being a little bit less. My feeling would be, though, and kind of what I thought, Colantonio being the smaller of the 4, that it would be good to hear from them as being the smaller of those. If we went with Bond, them, Commodore, and Rich, they would certainly be the smallest of those 4. And in my opinion, it would be good to hear from a smaller company, just because I'd like to see what they had to offer as compared to the other 3 that are used to doing it every day, all day kind of thing. That's my thought, Lynn. I don't know if it makes
Well,
sense or not.
let me just add, so we, I think we can say that Del Unis are not qualified. We can say that GVW are not qualified. We can say Hutter do not qualify, and that Seavers are not qualified. That leaves 4 other companies. Even if we decide that they're all qualified, we're not required to have all 4 companies move to the next phase. We're required to select a minimum of 3 qualified contractors. So, we can have 3 move on, even if we think 4 are qualified, or we can have all 4 moved on. So that's up to the committee to sort of see who they think are most suited to move on. But the fact that we deem them qualified or highly advantageous does not mean that they automatically move on to the next phase. So really, I think it's, Bond, Colantonio, Commodore, and Rich. And it's whether we want to allow 3 or 4 of those to move on to the next phase. And if it's 3 of them, which 3 of the 4 we want to invite to the next phase.
Well, I'd like to make it simpler if, see what people think, whether to have 4 or 3. That's the easiest way to start. If everybody agrees to have 4, the 4 are pretty obvious.
I stated my case for 4.
Anybody else?
I'd like to hear from Colantonio.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think 4 would be good. I mean, they ranked HA, so. why
Okay.
not?
All right. Is there any objection to having 4? Maybe I should have phrased it that way. Hearing none. I suggest, Chip, maybe make a motion that,
I will. I move that we invite Bond, Colantonio, how do you pronounce it? Colantonio, Commodore, and WT Rich to the next round.
and they are to provide us with, we issue the RFP to them and they send us proposals. Is that correct?
Correct. So the next step is to issue an RFP. They put together an RFP and submit that in a couple of weeks to us. We review that. Again, we go through an evaluation process similar to this. I would say that, this process was more about, general company information to see if they're actually qualified to move forward to the proposal phase. The proposal phase is more specific to our project. They'll have to, submit a project-specific plan, a project-specific schedule, project-specific tasks for the team members that they're proposing. So it's more specific to our project in the second phase. I'll issue that, no later than Monday. We look at the schedule in a moment, but I'll issue that no later than Monday, and I think we want them back by March 17th was the date we proposed.
That gives them 3 weeks to work on it.
Yeah, and it includes, I coordinated with the police and fire department. We will do a walkthrough as part of that proposal phase 2, so the contractors can come in and see the building before submitting their proposals.
With the RFP, Shane, can we put strong wording in there that we want to hear about their background on tight logistical work habits and what they're, that we're not moving out of the building? So how do they see accomplishing that?
Yeah, we can. So one of the things we ask for is for them to give us details on 3 specific projects where they have done some phased occupied renovation or similar projects to ours. So instead of just listing projects like they did at this phase, they'll actually have to go into some detail and show us what they did, how they did it, and how it was a successful job.
All right, there was a motion that Chip made. Can I have a second to have 4 companies?
Second that.
Thank you, John.
Do you want to do a roll
John?
call for
Well, I
that?
gotta do, let's just vote on it. Just to
We
make
should do
sure.
a roll call.
John?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Janine,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
All right, I don't have my whole list in front of me.
Jason is not on tonight, right?
Hold on a second.
Were
What did I miss?
was there, Shane, was there anybody else that was on the team that was a voting member on this, like
So-
Chief Story or anybody else?
So Wayne, Mark, and Phil were voting members
Right,
for the purposes of this selection committee.
Great.
okay.
Yes.
All right, so we'll do 4 then. All right,
So just Wayne is a yes? Yeah. Wayne
Yep. and
Mark?
Mark?
Yes.
and Phil?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, yes, yes.
all right, so we'll have 4 companies. Now, schedule wise, we have a ridiculous schedule in March that we just went over, right?
Yeah. So here's the schedule. Tonight we've shortlisted, so thank you for that. I'll notify all the firms tomorrow and get that RFP to them no later than Monday. We are going to look for the packages back March 17th. We will then review them. One thing with the
Is the exact date the high school OPM responses are due?
We do have the option to interview these firms. We usually recommend it, certainly on bigger projects. And we don't have to interview the firms, but if we do interview one of the firms, we have to interview all of them. We can't just pick and choose the firms that we want to interview. So if we pick 4 to go on to the next phase and we want to interview somebody, we need to interview all 4. So, Joe, I don't know if we want to discuss the need for interviews and the desire to interview these guys. I think there is an advantage to that. And certainly for the selection committee, it means that the, Chief Scory and Calabrese and Sullivan will get to meet these folks before we hire them. But I just wanted to sort of bring that up and open that up to discussion as to whether we interview or not.
I quite frankly was
And
just
if we do, we
expecting
have
us to
find some
interview.
time to do that.
Yeah, I thought we'd interview them too.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was an option not to.
Yeah, it is an
I
option
assume
not to,
there's-
but
I assume there's
I've
no
never not
objection.
interviewed.
I assume there's no objection to interviewing them, is there? None. Okay, we'll interview them. The
Yeah.
question is now going to be, the response is due on March 17th.
Yeah.
Is the same date the responses are due for the OPMs for the high school. Which then gives us a tremendous amount of reading to do and review.
We can, Joe, if we have the committee review for proposals from the 17th to the 23rd. I have to get my calendar down again.
Wednesday to Tuesday.
So we,
We just said we were gonna push the high school to the 25th, right?
right,
You said, or the 30th, I think you said. If Mayo said it was okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think we decided to try to do it the 25th so
Now,
that,
that was the short list on the 25th in interviews.
Interviews, you said on the 25th or the 30th.
So what are we thinking as far as interviews? And I would think we should wait until after the high school OPM. What do you think?
well, I am thinking something else. The qualification, so we've already made the qualification. We're gonna get the proposals. We could do that very quickly, right? we
So-
don't need to,
so-
we're not doing anything with the proposals other than looking at them, and we could look at them after we've heard their interview. Theoretically.
Exactly, Chip. We can do that, yes.
So we could interview them pretty quickly. Maybe before the high school stuff.
Or you could look at the proposals, notify them of the interview date while you're reviewing the high school stuff. And then once you notify the high school people, then you could do the interviews for the CM.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So like the 30th?
Or let's just clarify, we're looking for the interviews for the high school OPM on the 25th, is that correct?
I
That's
thought you
what we-
had, not that it's my business, but I thought you said you were gonna shortlist on the 22nd and interview on the 30th for the high school. So
Okay.
I think, if
Well,
you
we
got,
said that was a possibility, but we thought then we had to go to the 25th because of dates. The MSBA actually wanted us to do it on the 24th.
Right.
I think that's quick, and I don't think they necessarily expect that, but I think you want the CM interviews sooner than waiting until after the OPM.
Yeah, I think we want to
Maybe
get the
do them
CM
on
on
the
board by April 2nd, because that's the date that the schematic estimate documents are going to be ready. So that's really, we want them on board for that so they can get going on that as soon as those schematic design documents are ready.
So if you interviewed them on the 25th,
Why can't we interview them on the 18th?
well, it takes them time. Well, I guess you could tell them to be
Well,
prepared for that
we can
date.
tell them now what date we're going to interview.
Yeah, why not do it on the 18th?
That's a month away. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna know they're selected out of the 4. They have the time to put their proposals together, but the interviews can occur on the 18th. That doesn't
So
mean
we're gonna get the proposals when?
the 17th.
Why don't we get the proposals the 15th?
yeah,
I can-
that's, I guess my question is are these dates set by just us right now? So could we
Yes.
do they need that much time to put together these proposals at this point?
Why don't we-
You
No,
could
we
do 2
can,
weeks.
we can ask them for them back on the 15th.
Why don't we do that? Let's
Okay.
ask them for the 15th. We'll interview them on the 18th. And while we're interviewing them, we'll be reading the the OPM for the high school. In case anybody, gets bored or whatever, right? All right,
Okay, so interview on March 18th, yeah.
so we ask them to give us the proposals by March 15th and interviews on the 18th.
Yep.
Half an hour each.
Yeah,
Right.
half an hour presentation.
20-minute presentation, 10-minute questions.
And we'll set up a schedule, and they can't go on until their time.
Yep.
So that there's no, preview.
Lynn will be our monitor of who's on.
Right, so yes.
You'll be the sergeant at arms.
These are public meetings, but certainly in the past, we've asked them as a sort of professional courtesy not to attend or
Well,
watch.
it's one way to not get selected.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we told people before.
Yeah, no, yeah, I've had these conversations with CMs before where they turn up for live interviews back pre-COVID times.
Yeah, well, they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Or they can at their own peril.
Okay, so I got that. So I'll change those dates to proposes to 3:15, interviews on the evening of 3:18.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right?
And that would be Bond, Colantonio, Commodore, and WT Rich.
And then is there a way we can make our selection that night as well?
We ought to.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be something similar to that, that summary that I showed you, Chip.
But how do we send that to you like right after the interview or the scoring or?
Jane, you told me earlier, we don't have to necessarily do like a scoring system though, like before, right?
Well, no, well, we have to evaluate them and we have to rank them. So
Well, we
we
can
will,
rank them without doing a scoring sheet where we then have to send it in and people have to do that, can't we?
well,
We can do it together as
we
you,
do some
after
sort of
the,
evaluation, but it'll be, you know, quick and simple. We can do that collectively after the interviews. And I think
So, I
again,
mean, I could say, here's how I rank the 4, and then somebody else could say,
Right.
here's how I rank them, and then you figure it out.
exactly, you know, I think,
Publicly.
you know, just like the statements of qualification, I think after we interview them, you know, 1 or 2 firms usually, you know, raise to the top and it'll be quite evident who we want to pick.
Okay.
Okay.
Who we think is best for the town and the project.
can I back up for a minute? Shane, what if you made the proposals due on the 12th, which is a Friday instead of the Monday?
I can do that. I'm not sure I'll be able to get them up to Wakefield. I might over the weekend, but yeah.
Yeah, but you can just upload them on, you know, electronically, right?
Yeah, to have people.
And
get
that at least would give the majority of the committee, other than Joe or I, a chance to look at them.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, Friday afternoon, and we'll get them to the committee as soon as we can.
All right.
I think we need a few more projects to work on. Can somebody kind of pin down all these dates, Joe?
I'll update this this sheet and I'll send it out to the committee tomorrow morning, just so you can certainly plug the public safety dates into your diaries.
Thank you.
And I'll update the OPM after I talk to Steve and we make sure everything's okay.
And then we'll send out a master.
Master schedule.
Just a
Yeah.
quick- when is that high school tour that we can go on?
The 10th
March 10th?
at 3 PM, right, Joe?
Yep.
So we can go to that, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The only issue is that if more than 3 members of the committee, you have to let me know if you're going to go on it.
I'd like to go.
Well, I'm talking to everybody now.
Joe, why don't you just post it as an open meeting? Then doesn't matter how many people show up. And I also think if nothing's discussed, it doesn't have to, it just can't
I
be.
know, but you don't want to.
I know.
I know. I don't.
But if we list it as an open meeting for a tour, then it's done. We have no problems.
Your
Except
call.
for you open it up to the public and you want to probably.
And that's the
control
only
numbers.
problem is opening it up to the public. You know what I mean, Chip?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Do me a favor, let me know, send me an email if you intend to, if you choose to attend the high school tour, informational meeting, okay?
Even as a non-voting member?
Yes,
All right,
yeah, you're a member of the, yes,
all right.
yep. So send me an email, and if it's over 3, then I'll have to post it. If it's under 3, I don't have to. All right?
Thank you.
All right, Shane?
So that's it. Thank you, everybody. Again, that was pretty efficient. And we have our 4 to move on to the next phase.
All
Now,
right.
Shane, when are you gonna need to meet again to pay bills?
Well, I'm not sure, Joe, when is the next building committee meeting? Is it 1 in 2 weeks?
Not unless there needs to be.
No, not unless there needs to be, no.
I mean, I think Jim is on. I think we can probably wait if we can pay bills on the.
We can absolutely wait till the next
The
formal
18th.
meeting.
Yeah.
No worries there.
Okay.
And
All right.
Janet, I'm sure you can wait till the 18th.
Janet, can you wait? Oh, she's not talking bills, she's not saying.
Take that as a yes.
All right,
Looks like she's muted, but she's talking.
She's saying yes. It's okay.
okay, all right, well, I mean, all right, does Chief Scory, do you have anything to add?
No, Joe, I'm good.
Okay.
Just fascinated with the process here and soaking it all in.
Yeah, if you want to call it that. Craig, anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for all the
Right.
work.
Chief Sullivan?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, Mike. And Janet, I know you were there. Amy, you were there. Do you have anything else before we sign off?
We're all set. We'll talk to Shane about the schedule and all the other things that are going on, and we'll keep moving along. So we're all set.
How's the building of the building coming from the?
The construction of the model.
Yeah.
Amy could speak to it right now, but it's moving along. I think tomorrow. Amy, can you speak to it?
Yeah, I talked to WSP earlier today. They are anticipating being done with the existing conditions model tomorrow. So they're gonna send that along with the scans, the laser scan data to us. So we should have the model electronically tomorrow, and then all the scan data they have to actually send on a hard drive via FedEx. So that we'll have early next week, probably.
And then we have work on it to do to make it
Yes.
into a usable model to distribute. But in the meantime, the geotechnical report came in late this afternoon. We have to review that, get that off to the structural engineer. The code report, I think I told you last time, is arrived. Not a big issues there. The MEPFP engineers are coming Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I can't remember which date it is, and I think it's Tuesday. So they're going to have a tour, and then we'll have following that, we'll have an update by them to the advisory committee. And that's why I want to talk to Shane, because we may have to juggle, the other advisory meetings around to make it make sense. So I want to talk to him about the overall schedule over the next few days. So. But otherwise, it's just, it's so tough getting started on one of these, but once we get all this modeling done and everything, we'll be moving. So, okay.
Keep
Any
pushing.
questions? Yep. Oh, we're pushing, believe me. So it's just, this is a really complicated Revit model. You know how complicated the building is to walk around.
Oh, yeah.
And it's proven to be more, they ended up, doing more work than they anticipated based on what they knew about the building. It's taken them longer. It's taken them longer to put it together, but hopefully it'll work out for us. And, we'll be able to go back to them with questions, obviously, but we'll have a lot of data to work with. So, okay. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Anybody
Okay.
else? Anything? Well,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
and second on that and click leave.